Sampling error 5 marks. Difference between a sample statistics used to estimate the parameter and the actual unknown value of the parameter. Sampling error can be defined as the fluctuation of the value of the statistic from one sample to another drawn from the same population. Sampling error is the deviation of the selected sample from the true characteristics of the entire population. This error occurs when the researcher selects a sample that is not representative of the entire population and results thus generated do not represent the results that would have been obtained from the entire population. Statistical error is a statistical value that indicates difference in results found in the sample when compared to the population from which the sample was drawn. Sampling error occurs as a result of collecting the data from the sample rather than collecting it from the whole population. Increasing the sample size reduces this type of error. Why does error matter? The greater the error, the less reliable are the results of the study. Reasons for sampling error. When researchers draw different subjects from same population. When researchers used by a sampling procedure. When an error occurs by chance error. When the sample is not representative of the entire population. Types of sampling error. 1. Sampling errors. 2. Non-sampling errors. Total error is equal to sampling error plus non-sampling error. Sample errors. Error caused by the act of taking a sample. They caused sample results to be different from the results of census. Difference between the sample and the population that exists only because of the observations that happen to be selected for the sample. Statistical errors are sample errors we have no control over. Sampling error is the error which arises due to only a sample being used to estimate the population parameter is termed sampling error or sampling fluctuation. Non-sampling errors. Non-sampling error can occur at any one of or most stages of a survey, that is planning, field work and tabulation of survey data. Not controlled by sample size. Non-sampling error is caused by factors other than those related to sample selection. It includes non-response error and response error. Non-sampling error is the error that arises in the data collection process as a result of factors other than taking a sample. Non-sampling error can include coverage error, non-response error, response error, interview error, processing error. Non-response error, it occurs when units selected as part of the sampling procedure do not respond in whole or in part. Response error. Response for data error is any systematic bias that occurs during data collection and analysis or interpretation. It includes respondent error like line forgetting, interview bias, recording errors, poorly designed questionnaires, measurement error. Respondent error. Respondent gives an inaccurate answer like due to prestige or competence implications for due to sensitivity or social and desirability of question. Respondent misunderstands the requirements. Lack of motivation to give an accurate answer. Lazy respondent give an average answer. Question requires memory or recall. Proxy respondents are used like taking answers from someone other than the respondent. Interviewer bias. Different interview administer a survey in different ways. Differences or terrain reactions of respondents to different interview. Example to interview of their own sex or ethnic group. Inadequate training of interviewers. Inadequate attention to the selection of interviewers. There is too high workload for the interviewer. Measurement error. The question is unclear, ambiguous or difficult to answer. The list of possible answers suggested in the recording instrument is incomplete. Requested information as use of framework unfamiliar to the respondent. The definitions used by other survey are different from those used by the respondent. Example, how many part-time employees do you have? Researcher error. Sample frame error. Measurement error. Methods to control sampling errors. Using appropriate sampling designs. Selecting large samples. Multiple contacts to ensure representative response. As the sample size increases, the sampling error decreases. Increasing the sample size has some disadvantages like collecting data from a large sample is costlier, requires more in selection, training and control. It also tries to control sampling errors by using large sample size. It results in systematic bias. If the researcher tries to control sampling error by using large sample size, it results in systematic bias. The selection of a sampling procedure should guarantee a relatively small sampling error and help to control the systematic bias effectively. Non-sampling errors are inevitable in production of national statistics. Important that at planning stage, all potential non-sampling errors are listed and steps taken to minimize them are considered. At planning stage, all potential non-sampling errors are listed and steps taken to minimize them are considered. If data collected from other sources, question procedure adopted for data collection and data verification at each step of data chain. Critical view the data collected and attempt to resolve queries immediately as they arise. Document sources of non-sampling errors so that results presented can be interpreted meaningfully. Solution for sampling error. This can be achieved by a proper and unbiased probability sampling and by using a large sample size. Experience management. Experience management market research determining sample size. 5 common sampling errors. 5 common sampling errors. If your market research project was a movie, sampling error would be the villain. It can sneak into your idyllic scene and spew chaos and doubt, to the point that it undermines the credibility of your entire outcome. But fortunately, there are many ways to avoid common sampling errors. When you survey a sample, your interest usually goes beyond just the people in the sample. Rather, you are trying to get information to project onto a larger population. For this reason, it is important to understand common sampling errors so you can avoid them. 5 common types of sampling errors. Population specification error. This error occurs when the researcher does not understand who they should survey. For example, imagine a survey about breakfast cereal consumption. Who to survey? It might be the entire family, the mother, or the children. The mother might make a purchase decision, but the children influence her choice. Sample frame error. A frame error occurs when the wrong subpopulation is used to select a sample. A classic frame error occurred in the 1936 presidential election between Roosevelt and Landon. The sample frame was from car registrations and telephone directories. In 1936, many Americans did not own cars or telephones, and those who did were largely Republicans. The results wrongly predicted a Republican victory. Selection error. This occurs when respondents self-select their participation in the study. Only those that are interested respond. Selection error can be controlled by going extra lengths to get participation. A typical survey process includes initiating pre-survey contact, requesting cooperation, actual surveying, and post-survey follow-up. If a response is not received, a second survey request follows, and perhaps interviews using alternate modes such as telephone or person-to-person. Non-response. Non-response errors occur when respondents are different than those who do not respond. This may occur because either the potential respondent was not contacted or they refused to respond. The extent of this non-response error can be checked through follow-up surveys using alternate modes. Sampling errors. These errors occur because of variation in the number or representativeness of the sample that responds. Sampling errors can be controlled by 1. Careful sample designs, 2. Large samples, and 3. Multiple contacts to assure representative response. Define sampling 2 marks.